Welcome to Business 214, Fun with Advanced Excel. Hey, this is Chapter 2, VBlog 6. Hey, we got a bunch of exciting topics to cover in this chapter. Hey, we're going to review one concept, though, rounding. Hey, we're in our workbook here, Chapter 2 in Charts from M. Girvin, and we're going to start in our Round 1 sheet. Now, here's our goal. I want to go ahead and calculate a deduction. Here's our gross earnings, taxable earnings, and our deduction rate. I'm going to highlight both cells, and in the one at the top, I'm going to say equals one cell to my left times, and I'm going to click on that C12. Now I need to lock that C12, so I'm going to hit the F4 key once and twice. That dollar sign in front of the number means locked across when you copy it down across the rows. Control and tap enter.
143.9.
Excel is talking to me. Now I want to decrease the decimals here, so I'm going to control 1, and I'm going to click on accounting, number tab, accounting category, and I want to decrease the decimals to 2, click OK. Now I want to add these up, so I'm going to click in the cell right below and Alt equals. Alt equals. That is the keyboard shortcut for auto sum. You can see the dancing ants are going around the correct cell, so Control Enter. Control Enter. I want to decrease the decimals on that. Control 1. Go up to accounting and make sure it's 2 decimals. Click OK. Now, your boss comes over and she looks at this and she gets very mad. She says, hey, look, I can do that math in my head. That's not 218.46. Don't know you know how to do accounting? I thought you said you knew how to use Excel. She comes over here and she types very carefully what she sees from right here. She sees 143.96, so that's what she types in. Look, you can see right here I've already typed it in, 143.96. I'm sorry, your boss typed it in. Then she looks right here and she says 74.49. She clicks there. She types in 74.49. Notice that's a number typed in. She's typing what she sees. Then she clicks right here and Alt equals. The dancing ants are going around the right cell, so she Control and Enter. She says 218.45. You're fired. You don't know how to Excel. How come you got 1 penny difference? Quickly you're racking your brain. You go, oh yeah, no, I forgot to round. You remember back to your advanced Excel class. So you highlight these 2 cells, and in the one at the top, you hit F2. You come up to the formula bar because it's safer to work up and edit formulas up here sometimes. You type the word round, open parentheses. And then you come to the end and you comma 2, close parentheses. That 2 says you want to round to the penny. Then you hold Control and tap Enter. There it is. Now you got the right amount. Now here's the rule for rounding. When you are multiplying or dividing decimals, which we were here, we had some decimals, right? That's rule criteria number 1. And you're required to round. Look, with money you can't have fractions of penny. If I Control Z here and increase the decimals, you can see that there were some fractions of the penny. 96. Well, wait a second. That 4's hanging out there. That 7's hanging out there. So that's why we got an extra little number right here. I'm going to Control Y, which is redo. Control Y. Control Y. Control Y, and got it back to the round function and the decimals. Look here, you got those fractions of pennies you're required to round when you're using money. You can't just multiply decimals and expect to always get the right answer. That's the second criteria. You're required to round. Oh, and the third criteria, ding, 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 you're going to use whatever calculations you make in a subsequent formula. And we were adding. You got to use round in those situations. So your boss says, oh, okay, you're not fired. Hey, and just to prove that you are on top of things, you say, hey, no, boss, let me show you. So you come over here and you quickly type this out. You go equals round, open parentheses. This one, comma 2, because we're rounding to the penny. You say, yeah, no, I know that one, boss. But, you know, sometimes we're not doing payroll. We're doing taxes, so we need to round to the dollar. So you say equals round, open parentheses, and you click here, comma 0. Now your boss is like, why is it 0? And you say, well, the way I remember it is I go to the decimal and I go 1, 2, that's the penny. Now if I'm going backwards, since I memorized that 2 is for penny. If I'm going backwards, 2, 1. Remember, the pattern here is subtracting 1, so when I go 1, I got to go to 0. So that's why that's the 0. Similar, if we kept going, it would be 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So when you were rounding to the thousand for your financial statements, you would go to the negative 3. So you hit enter, and you say, well, see there, it rounds to 1626 when I have a 0 as the second argument. Now, just to show off, you say round, open parentheses, and you click there, comma. You know, for financial statements, we have to round to the thousands position, which would be right there. So this would be rounded up to 2,000. And there's how you use that second argument. All right, let's talk about another couple of round issues. I'm on the sheet round 2. Now we want to talk about round, which uses the normal universal rules for rounding, but there's also round down and round up and some other functions. Now round equals round, open parentheses, this right here, comma, I'm going to escape because that's not quite big enough. I want it a little bit bigger here. Equals round, open parentheses, and I'm going to click right there, comma 2. Now, the way round works is it always, if you're saying round to the penny, it goes just to the right and looks at that digit. If that's 5 or greater, it adds 1. For instance, here it would come out to be, instead of 5, it adds 1 and gets 6. If it's less than 5, it just hacks off the remaining digits and keeps that 5 a 5. But those are the universal rounding rules. Sometimes you want to round down or up. This is the one, round, for universal rounding rules. So I'm going to hit enter. Now, what if you always want to round down? Always. Equals round down, open parentheses. Click here, comma 2, close parentheses. This says no matter what, we always want to round it down. So in this case, it's just always going to go to the 5 and hack off whatever is left that direction. Enter. So it goes to 215. Round up is just the opposite. Equals round up, open parentheses. Click here, comma 2. Here it's going to not use the normal universal rules. It's always going to round up. So no matter what's right there in the third position, it's always going to change that second position 1 up. So enter. It goes to 216. Another useful function is called int, and it hacks off everything and takes just the integer. It always, in this case right here, if we have 2.156, it's just going to hack off that and go down to 2. Because remember, 2.156 is bigger than 2, so it hacks off that and goes down to 2. So ready? Equals int, open parenthesis, and it just goes to 2. Now watch this. What happens with the negative numbers? Equals int, open parentheses. Well, since it hacks off the remaining digits and goes down, what is less than minus 2? Minus 3. So this one goes to minus 3. Another couple useful functions in business for, oops, I left the numbers there. I don't want to do that. I'm going to delete those and show you how to do that. Ceiling and floor. Ceiling and floor. These are for pricing. And a lot of times you have a pricing structure where it's always 50 cents or it's always to the dollar or whatever other amount you want. So here, 685.20, we want to always go up to the 50-cent point. Here, when we use floor, we always want to go down to the dollar. So here, in this cell right here, equals ceiling, this, comma, and I'm going to click on that 0.5. That means it's going to round up to 685 and 50 cents. 685 and 50 cents. This one, if we use equals floor, this, comma, this, that floor says forget it, we're going to go down by 50 cents. It's always going to go down. In this case, because it's 0.21, it's going to go to the 00, so it would be 686. If it was 686.91, it would go down to the 50-cent mark. All right, that's a little bit about rounding. And don't forget, when you're using the round function on a percentage, I'm going to click here and hit F2. See how it's rounding to the 2? Hey, wait a second. That says 0.24. Wait a second. That looks like the integer. No way. Don't get tricked. That's formatted. If I Control-Shift tilde, which gets it back to general format, remember what's underneath a percentage is 0.2. 2, 3, 5. I'm going to Control Z to undo that. Look, so when we tell it to round to the second position, which is like the penny, it's actually going to go to that 3. So when we round this, you can see up here, if I hit F2, it's taking that and rounding to the second position, so it gives us 24%. If I Control Shift tilde, remember tilde is to the left of the number 1, Control Shift tilde, you can see that it's actually 0.24. Control Z to get it back to that formatting. Next topic, we want to talk about Paste Special. Paste Special. I'm going to click on the sheet tab called Paste Special. You are not going to believe some of the cool tricks here. Paste Special. Let's just show you what happens if you copy and paste. Now notice this is a formula, and if I click in this cell here and hit F2, you can see that the blue cells above are highlighted. So this formula says always add the 3 above me. They're relative cell references. I'm going to click Escape. I'm going to Control C, and if I paste it right here, Control V, sure enough, it obeys me. It brings the format, and it brings the formula. F2 shows me that it's adding the 3 above. I'm going to click Escape and then Control Z. Control Z is undo. You also have an undo button up there on your quick access toolbar. Now I'm going to click here, and what I want to do is copy and paste here just the formulas because I want to add up all of these right here. So I'm going to click in that cell and Control C. And then I'm going to click in the cell where I want to paste, but instead of pasting with Control V or right click paste, I'm going to right click Paste Special. And under Paste Special, there's all sorts of cool things. We want to first look at formulas. This says paste just the formula. It's not going to bring any of that format. It's just going to bring the formula. Click OK. Sure enough, you can see up here, or if I hit F2, it's adding the 3 above. Enter. Now I want to paste values. I'm going to click in this cell right here and hit F2 to show you, oh, this is a sum that's adding 2 ranges. That's a union operator. It's adding 2 non-contiguous ranges. Escape. I want to copy this, and I don't want to paste the formula when I click right there. I want to paste just the number 6. So I'm going to do Paste Special a different way. Go up to the Home ribbon, Paste, drop down, paste values, or that would work right there because that's what we want to do. Or you can go to Paste Special. Then you have all the options. I'm going to click on Values and click OK. No way, look at that. I clicked and pasted just the number 6, the result from that formula. Now, let's click down here and look at a third example. If I Control C, that, and I want to paste just the formats, I would click in the top cell. Notice this is 4 ranges. If I'm in the top cell here, when I paste it, it'll paste all 4 of these cells here. But I'm going to right click, Paste Special, and now I want to say just formats. Click OK. Now I'm going to Control Z because that was kind of the long way to do it. I'm going to highlight these cells right here and go to the Home ribbon, and under the clipboard there's a Format Painter. This is an amazing button. It copies just the formatting. Boop! I'm going to click on it, and when I click right here, you can see before I click, it's got that white cursor with the paintbrush. I'm going to click, and it pastes just the formatting. Hey, let's look at another amazing use for Paste Special. Imagine you have these numbers, and your boss says, now increase all those numbers by 10%. Your boss thinks you're going to take out the calculator and multiply or do some formula. You're like, no way, I know the quick way. I'm going to click in this cell, and if I'm supposed to increase these by 10%, if I multiply all of these numbers by 1 plus 10%, which is 1.1, if I were to multiply all these times 1.1, it would increase them all by 10%. But watch this. I'm going to copy this. No way. Highlight all the numbers. Right-click, Paste Special. Operation, just like that game you remember when you were a kid, except for here you click multiply, and no way, it'll just multiply every one of these numbers by the thing we copied. You could add, you could subtract, or divide. Click OK. No way, it increased them all by 10%, and not only that, but it didn't even put a formula or put that 1.1 times or anything. It just changed the numbers. That's amazing. Skip blanks. What if you wanted to copy this whole thing here and paste it here, but you didn't want the blanks to be copied because we have a 2 and a 21 there? Let's highlight all this, Control C, click in the top cell, right click, Paste Special, and no way, there is a skip blanks. Skip blanks. Remember, we copied this whole thing, but we wanted to skip the blanks and not paste the blanks. I'm going to click OK, and watch this. Just like magic, boom! The 2 and the 21 are still there, and the other numbers got pasted. Hey, another Pace Special amazing trick. It's called transpose. There's a lot of times where you have a little table. These are columns. The months are in columns, and the products are in rows. But imagine you wanted the transposition of that. You wanted the months in rows and the products in columns. Well, simply copy, right-click, Paste Special, transpose. You got to be kidding me. Click OK. And sure enough, now all of the months are in rows and the products are in columns. Now that's magic. Click on the next sheet tab. I'm going to show you another little magic trick here. Freeze panes. Now what we have here is some bond calculations. Maybe a deep discount. This is a deep discount bond. That means they borrow $171,928.70 today, and they got to pay $1 million back in 20 years. Or from the lender's point of view, they loan $171,298.70, and they get $1 million back in 20 years. But here's the deal: for taxes, you have to pay interest. You have to pay taxes on the interest revenue, or get a deduction benefit for the expense deduction. So here's an amortization table. It's absolutely amazing, but the problem is when I scroll down, no way, I'm scrolling down, I can't really tell which is which. Like right here, I don't really know which is which. So watch this. There's a way to lock everything above this row right here. You scroll over, and very carefully, here's the row I want to see as I scroll down. So you go down one row, go all the way over to the row header. There's the 14 in the A column. Click on the 14 and go up to View, Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. Now I'm going to click Escape because I use the keyboard shortcut for this. When you use something all the time, you got to use the keyboard shortcut. And remember, the best way to do things quickly is to know all the keyboard shortcuts. Watch this. The Alt key in the new 2007 is awesome. As soon as I hit Alt, all of the little screen tips or key tips, as they're called, pop up. To get to the View ribbon, I got to hit W. To get to the Freeze, I have to hit F. To get to the F, I have to hit F. There we go. I'm going to scroll over a little bit, and now as we scroll down using our vertical scroll bar or the roller mouse on our mouse, you can see you always see everything above. Not only that, but you can still see all the assumptions above too. Here, oh, nope. Scroll over here. I'm scrolling down. You can see that we can see all of the headers up here. Now, how do I undo this? Hey, the same keyboard shortcut, Alt W F F. By the way, when you freeze pane, if you have, as we did, some cells that are not showing at the moment of freezing, it doesn't let you see those up there. So what we should have done is this. Got to make the size a little bit smaller. Boop, boop, and then click right there, and now Alt W F F, and now we can see everything above. If I Alt W F F, it's unfrozen. Hey, let's go look at our next little thing here. Percentage change. Yeah, we got to be able to calculate percentage change. I'm going to show you two basic formulas. Now, we bought some stocks. Bunch of stocks: Microsoft, Whole Foods, Yahoo, Google, Citigroup, Bear Stearns, Countrywide Financial, and Caterpillar. Here's what we bought them on about 1 year ago. 3/1/2007. Got these from Yahoo historical prices, and then here are the prices as 3/25, and we want to calculate our percentage change. Now, the universal formula for percentage change, or the decimal, in fact, the decimal or proportional change, is always n minus begin and then divided by begin. Now you've got to be careful here. You got to remember your order of operations. If we're to do subtraction before division, you got to put that subtraction in parentheses. So always n minus begin divided by begin. So ready? Let's highlight this whole range right here. And in the top cell, the light colored one, I'm going to say equals, open parentheses, 1 cell to my left minus 2 cells to my left, close parentheses, divided by 2 cells to my left. That is a formula with all relative cell references. When we copy it down, it will correctly calculate the change for all of these. That's been pre-formatted as a percentage, so you can see that it comes out as a percentage. Let's scroll over here. Highlight this whole range here. Oh, there's another way to do this. If you do a little transformation on this little formula right here, knowing your fraction math, you can come up with n divided by begin minus 1. Let's try that. Equals n divided by begin minus 1. It is mathematically equivalent when we control enter. There it is. And these ones have not been pre-formatted, so we see them as decimals. Now we want to look at another little trick here. I want to highlight this whole table right here, and what I'd like to do is highlight the entire row when there is a loss. And it looks like we have some gigantic losses. Look at Bear Stearns. Woo, 96% loss. Countrywide, 83. Ooh, Citigroup, 50. Ooh, look at that. Whole Foods, 29. Everything's down except for Microsoft and Caterpillar. Everyone needs trucks and Caterpillars. Now watch this, highlight this whole range. Make sure the white cell is up in the upper corner. We want to do conditional formatting using a true-false formula. I'm going to go to the Home ribbon, and under Styles, go to Conditional Formatting, and then New Rules. Now there is a keyboard shortcut for this, and it works in this version and earlier versions. Alt-O-D. Alt-O-D. Click New Rule. And our new rule, we want a formula. Now I'm going to click right here, and we got to think about this. We need a true-false formula. Now watch this. When you do a true-false formula, it actually is stored. The formula is stored in this dialog box. It doesn't store it in the cells. Even though when we store it in this dialog box, it still works the same way. If we're in this cell and we copy this across and down, the formulas are not in the cells, but they're up here in this dialog box. So all the rules for formula creation are still the same. Here's what we want. In this cell right here, we want that. So I'm clicking on that because that's going to contain our negative. And watch this. This is locked in both directions, but we don't want that. As we copy this way, we want it locked on this cell reference, but as we copy it down, we want it to move down to the next negative or positive. So I'm going to scroll up, and I need to lock it across the columns, but not across the rows. So I'm going to hit F4, F4, and we want to say less than or equal to 0. That formula will work, and it's a true and false in every single cell. The format, I'm going to click the Format button. The Fill tab, this used to be called Patterns. It's now called Fill. I'm going to click on the red. Font, I'm going to click Color and White. Click OK. Click OK. Click OK. No way, look at that. And if you don't believe it, just click in this cell right here just to test and type a +2. And the formatting goes away. I'm going to Control Z. All right, let's do our last little sheet tab here. We just want to look at two things, what if and goal seek. Now, we already know how to do what if. That's why we put, and this is the project we did in Chapter 1. We built our little assumptions and then our income statement and a bunch of sales analysis over here. Now, what if our price per unit were $25 instead of $30? The whole reason that you build an assumption table, and if you click in that cell, you can see that's a number typed in. Because this number can change, we put it in an assumption table. So I'm going to type the number 25. What if it was 25? And before you hit enter, keep your eye up here and then watch the magic occur. Everything changes. That's what if. Excel, Lotus 123, VisiCalc, and all the other spreadsheets were all invented to do what if analysis. Now I'm going to Control Z. Control Z, and I want to do reverse what if. Here's how reverse what if works. It's called goal seek. I'm going to click in this cell. Notice there's a formula. If I hit F2, I can see the blue and green one. There's the blue one. There's the green one. Oh, that's an input number. If I look down here, that's an input number. I'm going to click Escape and click there. Here's how goal seek works, which is reverse what if. Click here. If there's a formula that's using an input number from a cell, you can ask the formula, hey, what do we have to do to this number to get a particular result here? What we want is we want this to come out to be 3,000. We want to know what will change here without having to change it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So click in the cell. Goal seek is under Data. Data Tools, this little button right here, what if, whoop, goal seek, and it has the cell with the formula. That's got to be the formula. Then you tell it what you want it to be, 3,000. And by changing what cell, you click on that cell. Now the rule is this has to be a formula, that has to be a number you typed in, and that has to be a number in a cell. If that's all true, then you click OK, and it tells you, boom, there it is, 78,550. That is reverse what if or goal seek. If you click cancel, no, if you click OK, notice it keeps those numbers there. You always have Control Z, which brings it back to there. Let's do that one more time. Data tools, then goal seek. Now, what if I wanted this to be $20,000 profit by changing this, and then click OK. Looks like we'd have to go down to 21,550. I'm going to click cancel. All right, when we come back in our next vlog, we'll see a bunch about statistics for Chapter 2.